All right, look at us, 5 minutes ahead of schedule already. We'll let Mike show up when he's ready to show up, and we'll just go ahead and get started then. First of all, thank you all again for coming. Happy Tuesday. A reminder that this meeting is being recorded and is voice only. So please make sure to speak clearly into the mic and repeat anything that's said in the chat for the record. April's going to be taking the notes again, and Kari will be keeping time. We have a lot to get through, so let's go ahead and keep our comments brief. And with that, we can go ahead and get right into the agenda. The first thing that we got to go through quickly here is for the committees. The short-term committee has enough volunteers to go ahead and get started. The minimum for each committee is 4 people, and 4 people have volunteered for the short-term committee. We're still looking for people for the medium-term committee, and I believe we have either 2 or 3 so far for the long-term committee. The short-term's got 3 people willing to be regular members, and 1 person has volunteered to be a chair. So if it's all right with y'all, I think we should go ahead and we can talk about who they are, get them appointed, and let them start getting their work so we can keep on with the timeline that we promised at the last meeting. So by the July meeting, they'll have an update, have some kind of like preliminary feedback, preliminary thing to get feedback on. How does that sound to y'all?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds
Awesome.
good.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, awesome. So they have all filled out the nomination form on the website, giving us their information and who they are. So if we go ahead and we'll just hereby appoint them, I'll reach out to them, get them all in a group chat together, and the chair can start scheduling their required meetings so we can get that ball rolling.
Charles, could you tell us who they are?
Yeah, of course. Let me pull up the full list of names here. I believe I have it memorized, but I don't want to misspeak. Give me 1 second. So the first person is David Kindell. You guys probably know him from Taco Tuesday. Howard, me and you were talking to him about he wants to be on the short-term committee and the long-term committee. The next person is Anya from Taco Tuesday as well. She is interested in the short-term committee. Let's see. The person who agreed to be chair of it, his name's Adam. He went to one Taco Tuesday. Howard, I think me and you met him together. But he lives in the building. I believe he works something to do with legislative affairs for the government. I've met him a couple times. He's very organized, very deliverable focused. So I'm fully confident in his abilities to make sure that the committee's doing what it needs to do and communicating with us along the way. And then the last person is Monique. Monique has said that she's interested in serving on the short-term committee.
Sounds good. Who are you? I guess who volunteered to be the chair?
Yeah, that was Adam. He said that he is willing to step up and do that for us, and make sure that the meetings are getting scheduled, that people are communicating with each other, that what they're saying, what they're supposed to be delivering is being delivered, and that he will meet with us separately from the committee meetings and keep us updated, as the charter outlines.
Sounds great.
Awesome. I motion to appoint them so they can start their work. Can I get a second?
I second that motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, awesome. We can go ahead. We're right on schedule. We'll do the updates from the officers. Howard, if you want to kick us off with that.
Sure. So I think as I've been putting in the chat, I know that you, Charles, our president, and our treasurer, and I are going to meet with the Office of Tenant Advocate. We are just waiting to hear back from our treasurer because he's very germane to this discussion. We're going to be talking about the best organizational structure for our committee, and then once we meet with them, we'll bring it back to the full officer meeting for us to vote on. But this is more or less or I guess an information gathering session with the Office of Tenant Advocacy. So once we have that availability from everyone, then I will go ahead and schedule that. And I will make sure that I CC the relevant people on that email when we're communicating with them. So if anybody has any questions for that, I am open to or available to answer.
Yeah, one quick question there. I know we'll get the availability for Mike when he joins, and then I can add my availability to that, and we'll get that scheduled. Do we want to ask if April is available to join as the secretary to keep, notes and minutes from that?
Absolutely. I would, yes, I would absolutely welcome that.
Yeah, April, would you be interested in joining that meeting?
Hold on, she had walked away. What time is the meeting and
So
where?
That's what we've been discussing. We have been waiting for Mike to get back in order to schedule this meeting because it's
Mhm.
really his domain. So as soon as Mike joins the call, we'll get availability from him, and availability from April and me and Howard, and we can go ahead and get that scheduled.
Yeah. Well, I'll speak for her based on her availability. She might be willing to do that. She just needs to know when and where.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay. Okay, so we're just waiting for availability. Okay, and then the second thing on my under my agenda is okay, yes. I hope that everybody had a chance to look at the Ivy City small area plan, and that's essentially what they're trying to do here in Ivy City is kind of, most of all, keep the community engaged. Keep it affordable, keep it multi racial, I guess, if you will, as diverse as possible. And they have some other some goals that they want to put in terms of that they want to accomplish in terms of development of Ivy City. And so there's a lot of things to go through. It's about a 40-page document, but what I'm willing to do is kind of go through and kind of give bullet points so we can make it more digestible for our members. But essentially, this is a plan that they've come up. I think they started working on this probably about 3 years or so ago. We started talking to them when they initially started doing this, and now they have a full plan to present to us. They're asking for us. I think we are probably the largest conglomerate of residents in Ivy City. I know they have some in about three blocks or so of residents, 3 blocks of homes. But we're definitely when it comes in terms of residences here, residents here, we're probably the largest. The largest component. And so our voices needs to be heard. And so we can. What they want us to do is kind of present, kind of give our opinion on their proposed plan, and then the mayor is going to they're going to present this to the mayor. They either take our recommendations or not, but it at least allows us to give our input. I've already talked to Ron Motley. I know most of you guys know who he is, but we've been talking about this plan for maybe about 2 weeks now or so, and I know that he wants to give kind of his input on that. He's probably, in terms of community involvement, he's probably our, the largest name attached to us here. And so one thing he was concerned about is that they would be bringing in a lot of, because they want to keep, Ivy City affordable, but he's very adamant against, kind of making it, like low income or I forget the, but, for the people who normally can't afford that they have the government's subsidies. So he's very keen on making sure that, that we keep, I guess, market rent, the majority of it, as opposed to kind of making everything as low income, so that he feels that brings in crime and things like that. And so he's gonna. I know when we present this to the full. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Are you talking about inclusionary zoning?
No, not inclusionary zoning. No, this is Section 8, Section 8 housing is what it's called. And so because the plan is to keep Ivy City as affordable as possible. I know that was just one of his concerns, that they would kind of forego with kind of regular rent to make it more affordable, and then have kind of the low income kind of move in. And he thinks that with that brings crime, brings just it's not a good look for our neighborhood. And so he's going to speak on that once we present it to the full membership. But brought that up because I know he's adamant about that. So I know that some of the members I've talked to, they definitely want to put their input on that. So what I suggest is that, so just that they don't have to swallow, you know, a 40-page, 50-page document, that I'd go through and kind of create kind of a more of a bullet point document for us to discuss. We would send that out to them prior to our next meeting, and then kind of get their input, have them, you know, ready to show up to our next meeting, or maybe have some way of putting it in some kind of document where they can actually put their vote in a document. So the only thing we have to do at our next meeting is kind of just go through and kind of the things that we can pull out is the things that most people want to discuss. That way the meeting is not a 3-hour meeting. I think that's probably the best way to do that. But we have to get this into the mayor's office by, I think, August 15th. And so I know we have a meeting, one full meeting at the end of each month. And so this will be our only time to give our input as a full membership, because, you know, by next month, you know, the time frame would be closed.
That sounds great.
Could I have, I'm sorry, Lex.
Yeah, I said, that sounds great. It sounds like there needs to be a proposal done from our end. Am I correct on that?
No, they already have the plan. They already have the proposal, the plan. What they're asking for us is to give our input on their plan, essentially. So they already have, it's about maybe 40 or so plans that they want to incorporate. And they're spread over, you know, diversity, they're spread over development, spread over income, and all of these things. And so they want us to kind of go through it and say, okay, well, we think this will be a great fit for our neighborhood, or no, we don't think this would be a great look for our neighborhood, and this is why.
Could I chime in here real quick?
Sure.
So first, I want to thank you for raising this. I think this is really our bread and butter, right?
Yes.
I think this is a great way for us to make our voice heard in the wider community, and a good opportunity for us. I had a chance to hear this plan when they came to the church down the road, you know, and they gave a great presentation on it. You were talking about, you know, condensing their 40-page plan down into some bullet points. If it's helpful to you at all, they have done some of that work for us. I have one of their, it's not a pamphlet, it's more like a binded booklet of one of their presentations if we wanted to use some of that. I also think it could be interesting. I think they might be willing if we wanted to come invite them to speak, you know, 15, maybe half hour. To come talk to us and elaborate, give this kind of presentation in person instead of just sending in our thoughts. Maybe we could give our thoughts directly to their team and kind of hear from their team what they're doing. The only thing I want to push back on a little bit, though, is the idea that low income in some way equates to crime. You know, I'm sure we're all very worried about safety in our community. But that doesn't mean we want to, like, you know, bring in any negative stereotypes. I think affordability, especially with housing prices and rental prices going up and up and up, and that affecting everybody, we want to make sure that we are, you know, still trying to keep things as affordable as possible, and not insinuating in some way that, you know, trying to keep things low income, trying to make sure that everybody is welcome in the community, welcomes crime. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that was just one of his concerns. I know, like I said, I don't want to speak for him, but I know that this is going to be a concern that he raised. And so, you know, so he's one of our, you know, one of our constituents. And so I just only brought that up just to, I guess, highlight that there are some concerns from our residents, from our constituents, and that they want their voice to be heard. That's the only reason I brought that up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I imagine, like, this is what I mean by it's our bread and butter, right? I think this plan really impacts all of our residents. And I think, like, they would definitely have a number of places that they would want to give input. So I think it's a really good use of our time to get them involved in this as much as we can. You know, I think in the same way as, you know, I think this plan talks a bit about walkability. It talks about shade in the neighborhood. It talks about bringing in business. I think all of these things, in addition to that public safety that we were talking about, in addition to, you know, how can we increase affordability and accessible housing, it's, you know, all things that the membership would be really interested in. I love the idea of creating, you know, some bullet points, and we can use the presentation for it. And I think, you know, I can reach out to them and say, hey, you know, I know you came to the community once down the street. You know, we have a large group of people that this would impact, you know, as Howard was saying, the largest group of residents most likely. Maybe we can, you know, have them come out, you know, we don't have a ton of time during meetings, a lot to
Yeah.
get through, but maybe like 15, 30 minutes just to do a quick Q&A.
I think that would be amazing. Yes, I would like. As a matter of fact, I think I'd like that more as opposed to kind of them having to decipher through 20 or 30 bullet points. You know, I think they'd be in a better position to kind of spill this plan out to us and lay it out for us.
Awesome.
Yeah, can I propose a way for us to approach this? I think we should call maybe a special meeting specifically to go through this with a fine-tooth comb, to come up and be prepared with the issues that we want to raise with the Q&A before we approach them. And that way we don't, maybe all 40 bullet points does not apply to us, but that way we are streamlining exactly what we want to deal with or what might be beneficial for the tenants, and give us an opportunity to look over before we move forward.
Do you mean a special meeting of the officers
Yeah.
to go over, or a special meeting of the membership to go through it?
No, well, no, first the officers have to look through it first, how it's sent. And then we go through what we need, what we want to address. And then we approach it from that standpoint, because no one has really looked at it. We haven't really decided as a unit or a group or as a union to which one of any of these bullet points that really affect us or might be beneficial to us and what might, work for us. I just think we need to look at it and then have a meeting amongst ourselves.
Sure. How does this work for everybody if we look over it?
How do you feel about that?
I'm
I
sorry.
think that's great. I'm worried. Like Charles said, I'm kind of worried about the time, just because we only have probably about another 2 weeks to get the residents' input. So if we're going to meet with them as officers, as a union, then we really need to kind of get moving on that and have them kind of get in here.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we, if Lex wants a special meeting, why don't we can do this special meeting next Tuesday, same time as the usual officer meeting on the 16th. That gives us this week to review it, next week to work on whatever we're doing from that whatever comes out of that special meeting. And then we still have a little bit of time before the following week where we present it to the membership and see if we can't get a presentation from the Office of Planning.
That sounds great to me.
I motion that.
Awesome.
Yes, I second that motion.
All right, so we will meet on, I'm sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Awesome. So I believe, so in that case, we will meet at 6 p.m. on July 16th for a special officer meeting to go through the Ivy City Small Area Plan. That gives you from now until then to review it. And then we will see if we can't get a presentation on that put together for the July membership meeting.
All right, moving on.
All right, moving on.
And I still got 2 minutes left, and I yield my time.
Right on schedule.
Yes.
Look, this is fantastic. Look at us go. Mike, I think we're passing over to you.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. It's great to be back. Been dealing with some personal issues, but again, it's really nice to meet all the new officers and to see all the old familiar faces. Yesterday evening, I met with Charles and we discussed several action items that I'll be working on, which is again just drafting an accounting document, brainstorming on fundraiser ideas, and I believe Howard is working with the Office of Tenant Association, and so him and Charles and I we're going to discuss the legal status options for the union. But just got back, so don't really have many updates outside of working on the action items that Charles and I discussed yesterday evening.
Yeah, so now that you're here, we were talking just before you arrived about that meeting with the Office of the Tenant Advocate. We had said that we would invite April if she's available to do notes for that meeting as well. We were wondering if you can give us your availability so we can get that scheduled.
Okay, yeah, so in regards to availability, could I just like share that in a document you want me to, because I have that written down now. I'm not available on Wednesdays due to exams and, well, I could just say it now. I'm not available on Wednesdays due to exams and Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Fridays after 6 p.m. And I will be traveling August 1st to August 5th. So
Do you wanna make this a part of a special meeting that we're having on Tuesday, this coming up?
I'm sorry, I would say no.
I'm sorry. Can we pause for 1 second? It seems that Miss Yvette is not able to speak. It seems she's giving me a call saying that she's muted. If we can pause to make sure that she's included here. Yvette, I've been clicking the button to say ask to unmute, but you should be able to unmute. Can everybody mute and unmute okay? Is everybody, Karee, are you able to do that? I know.
I'm
Yeah, we
Yes.
can.
So,
Hello?
there we go. We can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, I've been clicking on it. It wouldn't go.
Okay.
I had a comment, but I can wait till later because we passed that subject when I was trying to comment.
All right, I'm sorry about that technical difficulty. I'm glad we
All
were
right.
able to get that
Go
resolved.
ahead and comment, Ms. Yvette.
Two things. I had a question. When you said the short-term committee members, do you already have something in place what their performance or their specific actions would be? Because I may have missed that. I missed your last meeting.
Yeah, so all of their expectations, their rules of how they interact is all outlined in their charters, which are still available on the website.
Okay.
It goes through, it goes through their procedures, it goes through how often they meet, how they communicate with us as officers, and what they're expected to deliver.
Okay. And the second question, when y'all were talking about Ron and things, Ron has something in place developed about low income versus, below income in place that he utilized before at a meeting event we went to in Ward 8 community. And I know it's short, it's real quick, a quick read. So again, I think y'all were saying this, all of y'all were saying the same thing, what Howard raised and you raised, and then Lex said. So I'd like to I have some documentation that he shared with Life Enhancement Agency about the community over here, for more so from a perspective of entrepreneurs being able to get in this community who have businesses, and those businesses are laid out like, like art stores or, stuff like that, to bring the quality of the neighborhood up. Like they took away TJ Maxx and things, but there are like shops, mini shops where people have a fashion designer can get the same benefits that in this community that Ward 7 and 8 and 6 have already received, like grants to open up a small business. So a lot of people in this building are entrepreneurs. And that's a part of the Ivy City development. They want to hear from us what kind of businesses would benefit and raise the quality of our neighborhood, like a nail salon, a pedicure, a massage place.
So, Ms. Yvette, I think those are great points, and I think these are things that needs to be discussed on a special meeting, and that will be a great input from you by bringing all that information to on Tuesday once we read over the plan, and you can indoctrinate that narrative into the plan on Tuesday. That would be great.
Yeah, well, I was muted, and I was saying when you guys do that, I would like to offer the the grant information for small businesses to do it. But I was like, you already passed the subject, so I was piggybacking on the same thing. When we have it, there's some
sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, so make sure on Tuesday, and I like to, if you can send that to me, or send it over to the group, we can all take a look over that and then implement that as far as what we want to talk about on Tuesday as well.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. If you send that over, we'll include it in our reading for the next week, prepping for that Tuesday meeting, and we'll make sure we get that on the agenda to be discussed as well there.
Mhm.
But I believe I interrupted somebody who was mid-sentence when I paused for technical issues. Do we want to pick up there? Who was speaking?
That was
Mike.
my,
Mike,
Yeah, I'm done. I already kind of gave my updates, so
April, did you get that availability down? When he's available, we can get that meeting scheduled.
I'm sure she's gonna get back to you after she looks up her schedule.
But Tuesday, right? Tuesday is a good time for me, so
I'm sorry. So Mike, did you say anytime after 6?
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday after 6, and I am not available on Wednesday evenings.
Gotcha.
Awesome, awesome. Okay. So speaking of availability, that's a great transition to one of the things I wanted to mention that Mike had mentioned yesterday. Back a while ago, the last secretary officer had a shared Google Calendar going that streamlined some of these availability questions. It made it a little bit easier to schedule. And it, it was available, so that we could see, when all the different things were going on, a bit visual, a bit easier. I think we should try and get one of those back up and going if possible. April, if that's something you wouldn't mind doing. Just
Sure.
a simple shared Google Calendar to say, here are the events marked out. Here is our, this person's traveling this day, so we don't schedule anything there. And it just people's availability, I think, would be helpful. Bring that back. I think it was beneficial before.
that would be great. So do you prefer sending the email to the secretary email and then I can share the Gmail Google Calendar with everyone?
I'm sorry.
Or do you prefer, okay, so we can do it two ways. Everybody has a Gmail account through the HWTU, right? So you can share your calendar there, or do we just use one calendar and everybody just email me and I update that calendar? There's two ways we can take it.
That's what I was thinking, where we email you and we just have one overall calendar that has all of the different pieces that we need to know.
All right, I'll figure it out and I'll send you guys instructions.
Awesome. Thank you, April. And then before we move on from Mike's section, I just want to clarify one of the things that he was talking about while we start getting our paperwork in order to file as a tenant union and meet with the Office of the Tenant Advocate. The some of the other things that happen after that are starting to open a bank account and have some fundraisers, get some money in. But I was talking to Mike about how before we can raise a penny, the bylaws require us to have an auxiliary document that says how we will account for money, how we will decide how to spend money, how we will, anything to do with that. So I figured, we can speed up the process by doing this simultaneously a little bit while we're figuring out, the paperwork that we need to file, and meeting with the Office of the Tenant Advocate. Mike can put together a rough draft of that document, so that we can review it. And he had said that he should have a rough draft for us by the next officer meeting.
Sounds good.
Awesome. With that, we can go ahead and move on to Lex.
Okay. So an update, as far as outreach is concerned, the garden membership has grown by 6 members, but the membership has grown by 5. Also, I invited several people, word of mouth, grassroots, to today to talk about and support the tenant union. As far as social media is concerned, I didn't want to start off with a new page without content, because and how you notice from a marketing standpoint, opening up something without empty content, you start how you finish. So I would just need all the content that we have to send over in the email that you would like to have on the social media, Miss Yvette's, pictures from your events, the information that you have from Howard, which we're going to address Tuesday. I think initially, and you, Charles, you explained to me expressly that we want to start a new page and not incorporate and dismiss the other page. So I was thinking we just need to come out strong with a lot of content, and I don't have any content, so I just need content before I can start all this. And I think we can get some good content tonight, pictures, all the members, all the pictures that you had from the last meeting, Charles, of all the members together, the headshots. So I would like to start that way as far as the social media content is concerned.
I have a
Absolutely.
question. Why are we starting a new page?
I think we should talk about that, but before we do, I just want to chime in. We still have a whole bunch of photos from the first meeting back in January that I can get sent over to you. That's someplace where we have content. The February has some really nice photos because of that nice big space we were in. And we can find some content there. We of course had that pro bono professional photographer with all the headshots of us and the group photos and the June meeting. And we'll make sure we can definitely get you that content. And let's take some great pictures tonight. I think this is going to be a fun event. It's going to be laid out really nicely. I know Yvette's been working on that. So definitely I agree with starting the social media with a bang. And we can definitely get all of that content sent to you. If anybody has any others that they've taken, any pictures of, any tables or residence group photos, anything like that, we can get that sent over to Lex and that'll be great.
Just wanted to, like, Howard had a question, and Charles, can you explain why you want to start a new page?
Yeah, I think, we want to have an Instagram, we want to have a Facebook. I think we should start those, as a tenant union new. I don't think we should try and reuse the past ones. I think we're a new organization. I think we have a new name, new branding, new members, right? I think a lot of the people who might follow those have left. I think we should have a fresh start. And just now that we have an outreach person and now that we're creating the social media, let's create it and jump off, not try and people are scrolling back and going, wait a minute, what is this other name? What is these previous posts? I thought we started in January. I think if we're going to be a new organization, let's just go ahead and get the social media of our own up and running.
I agree. Howard, do you oppose that?
No, I just didn't understand why I know that we have, we still have residents from our old posts, but like as Shaw said, nothing was really going on with the previous pages. We haven't really been posting because we haven't, the old tenant association is slightly defunct. And so, that's okay. I just didn't, So what I'll do is because, hello? Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, what I was gonna say, Howard, is that I can also invite those old members to the new page. That could be an easy transition.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah. So what I'll do then, once you create the new before we delete the old pages, what I'll do is I'll make sure that I put follow us on our updated page or follow us on our new page. So just so that they'll know, and then I'll delete the old stuff. Or I'll delete the old pages because we don't need them. I don't.
Yeah, and that kind of is a way to purge whoever is involved or that no longer lives here.
Sounds good. And then also, I have another question, Lex. So how were we also determining how many more members we're getting? I know that you're saying that we have we're gaining more members for the for the Brotherhood and for the other the garden group, but are they part of the tenant union?
Well, that's the key. So when we create the new social media page, then I was picking up invites. I have held off on that because we had an old page and we haven't talked about updating the page. So really, I've been just doing a little grassroots, accumulating people in the subcommittees and the sub clubs, and letting them know that, this is what we're doing. So they're going to be showing up tonight. So we can address that tonight when they come up, and I would like to coincide a little bit more with the event planner with Miss Yvette. So when she has events or anything like that, then I can use this outreach program to invite them over, and then we can corral more members that way. So that was just my plan of how to increase enrollment.
Sounds good. Charles, do you have the numbers that our current members now? And then do you, because I think what's probably going to be needed as we're moving further, is that, kind of where we are now, and then how is the membership increasing? So I think that should be included in, like, when outreach gives their their update, every meeting, that we say that we can see some traction moving, just to make sure that what we're doing as a union is working for the recruitment of our tenants.
Yeah, I appreciate the transition because it's a good one. That's not directly necessarily a question for me. The membership roles are managed by the secretary, and we actually, she's been working on that recently. I know she has an update. I don't mean to skip over Carrie and Yvette. I want to make sure we go back to their updates. But if we're, flow of the conversation, April, if you want to talk about what you've been doing with the interest form and how we're keeping track of that and what you're doing there, that would be great.
Do you want me to provide the update? Because I think we have other people.
We can wait. I didn't see that on the list. I just wanted, because I know that we're talking about kind of outreach now, but we can wait until you get your give your update.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think.
Go ahead. So I'm gonna close out my session by saying, when I get that update and there's a apparatus or some type of way to gauge the how the sign up sheet is done, then we can look at those numbers and how we're doing to Howard's point. But I need that first before we can even have a number on what they're. Right now, it's just creating interest from my point.
Heard.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So I'm gonna have to exit the meeting because I have some chicken to fry, guys.
Gotcha.
Are
Okay,
we cool?
you get permission because of you making fried chicken. I'm over here.
So you second that motion, Miss Yvette?
I second and third it.
All right. I'll see y'all later.
Okay.
Later, Lex.
All right.
So we've slipped a little bit behind schedule here, and I want to make sure everybody gets off in time to get their things done for Taco Tuesday. But Carrie, if you want to just briefly kind of give an update on the decorum document.
Sure. I didn't know if April wanted to go first, though. April, did you want to go?
It doesn't matter. I can. Mine is just a quick update.
Okay, you can go
Alright.
ahead.
All right. So to answer the question, how many we have right now in regarding to membership, we have a total of 79. I know there were some folks that when I send email, they come back and says, hey, I no longer live at Heck Warehouse. So what I did is and everyone has access to this, under the Heck Warehouse tenant union interest form responses, where people signed up and put their email and their name and phone number. If they request to be removed or unsubscribe, I just removed their name from that file and moved them to the request. I added a tab, request removal. So I didn't want to just delete them and we don't know who left. So in this way, we have we're tracking both people that are existing and people that request to be removed or people that moved out. So that's what I updated on the interest form.
And to Howard's question, all of the entries on that form have the date and time that they filled it out. So we can
Correct.
keep track of, membership over time. We can say, well, last week we had 75, now we have 85. And that's a way, as Lex builds that interest and brings people in, April can keep track of those new people coming in.
Absolutely.
Sounds great. Just this is more of an outreach thing too. I know Lex left off, but if I don't know if there's a way to, well, I know there's a very simple way we can do this, but I think that we should, just for tonight's purposes, perhaps make a QR code, a scan QR code where people can, as they're in line or while they're waiting to get their food, as they're socialized, they can just go up to it. I have one of those laminated stands. The only thing they have to do is go up and scan it, and it'll take them right to our kind of sign up form. That way they don't have to download anything. They don't have to go to a website. They scan and put their information in, and they're automatically on our list. I think that could be the most simplest way. I think we should definitely use this as a recruitment tool this evening. That's all.
That's great. Are you, so you're saying, Howard, you have one that you printed?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I'll put it. I'll make a QR code to the list, and the only thing they have to do is just scan it, and then it'll bring up our list and for them to join us.
Oh, that's awesome.
April, I know Lex got off, but do you guys already have a large deep fryer? Because I have one.
We have two.
Okay.
Yeah, he got the oil in there starting and ready to fry. Yep.
Okay.
All right, awesome. Curry, back to you.
I'm sorry, one more update, just to let you know,
I'm sorry.
based on the email that I've been sending, based on updates or emergency updates. I don't know if I think one of the emails from Rebecca, you all saw the response that she was glad, the transparency. I don't get a lot of response back, but what I do get is people that I pass in the hallway and whatnot, they're saying, hey, thank you for the update. So they do enjoy the update, even though I don't get that much response back on email. So people do read it.
Yes, I want to actually second that. April, first of all, I think you're doing an amazing job. So kudos to you. Just on your communication with, with everybody. As I posted in our chat that, I was down there real time as the emails went out, and people kind of, earlier that night, they were like, you guys are the attending council. Why aren't you guys doing anything? And I'm like, listen, we are really working for you guys. And then, 2 hours later, the email came out, and the people that were down there complaining, they were very happy when they got it. And so not only did we show that, like I said, not only did we show that we were working on the issue, but we showed that the issue was resolved, and that's something that we did. And April, your communication was immaculate and right on point, right on time. So thank you for that.
I'll second that. I can't tell you. I got several people on July 4th alone at the different events going on, talking about how much more they've been hearing from us recently and how they're seeing the work. It's like we said, if we just start being visible to the membership, they'll see it, they'll respond, and they have been. It sounds like to April, to Howard, to me, they are coming out of the woodwork to say, we're seeing it, and they're appreciative. So great news all the way around there.
Absolutely.
Kari, do we want to go back to you if we can do the update on the decorum document quickly? We'll do Yvette next, and then we'll try and hurry through the rest of this agenda here.
Sure. I'll make it brief, you all. I've been working on the decorum document. I have a draft currently. I'll just give you all some context on what's been drafted so far. The order of meeting is pretty much similar to Robert Rules of Order, if not verbatim. Call to orders first when you're opening the meeting, roll call, read and review minutes, officers' reports, committees' reports, order of business and announcements. And then what I also have, what I've begun drafting and would like, if people wish to give their input, I think I mentioned that in the last meeting, I've created the rules of decorum. The opening is, these rules are subject to change given the nature and matter at hand, and most importantly, what is explicitly necessary to foster and maintain a healthy, proper, and operable fluid union. Just to give you an idea, we have a certain time frame to report or make statements, agree or appeal, for both officers and committee representatives. How to conduct yourself in a meeting, that's laid out. And that's as far as I've gotten so far. Yes.
Awesome. If you could share that document with everybody as soon as possible, and if everybody could please leave some feedback, leave some input, so that Kari can take all of that, keep working on that document, and hopefully, by the next meeting or the one after, have a final document that we can go ahead and ratify. That would be perfect.
If you all look into your Signal, you'll see I just posted it there.
Awesome. Thank you, Kari.
Yeah.
So can I add something very quickly? So I know most of us have access to our Gmail under HWTU, but I know some of us are like Miss Yvette, I gotta help you get into the events email. So just make sure that, everyone just start using their Gmail under HWTU. And also you can use the, the Google Drive that's through that, which what I've been using is when I share all the updates that I do when you guys have to review email, and also when you have to do sign-offs.
Got it.
Yes, I'm going to second. I'm sorry, Kari, I saw that you put this, I don't think it's a link to the Google Drive. So if you could you place that on the Google Drive just so that we'll have access to, because the way that it is now, it's just a document. And so if you make a change on it, it won't show on the main drive.
I spoke to Kari today.
Just about to speak on that when April chimed in.
I'm sorry, Kari, go ahead.
Charles, go ahead.
Okay, awesome. So I spoke to Kari today. She, for some reason, has still been having issues getting into the account. For some reason, when we're sending the invite, it hasn't been going through. Howard, I know you've been working on that with her. But I tried again today. I sent it to a different email of hers, seeing if we couldn't get that invite sent. So I'm going to be working with her offline, Howard. If we, continue to run into problems, we can back channel with you and get that resolved. Hopefully, we'll stay on top of it this week, and, real soon we'll get her into the account and we can upload that to the drive. If we want, in the meantime, she's already sent it to me. I can go ahead and upload it on her behalf. So at least we can get the input while we're getting her in. And then I know Yvette has been having similar issues. And April will be working with her offline to get that done. So Yvette, if you could please reach out to April and get that resolved. I definitely want to make sure, everybody's in the email account.
And also, I was going to say, I have not been receiving the notifications when you all message in Signal. I figured out what that matter was. So Howard, I meant to say something to you on 4th of July, but it slipped my mind. I did not get the chance to tell you that I was not able to access the Google email.
Gotcha. Thank you so much for the update.
No problem. I'll get better at that, you all. I'm sorry, I did not understand how I wasn't receiving Signal notifications, and now I do understand. So I'll be more involved when you all message.
All good. Glad to have you. All right, trying to keep us here. So Yvette, we are rapidly approaching the July 25th meeting, membership meeting. I want to make sure we don't get caught too close to that without having, the planning in place. I know those take a good couple weeks to get put together. If you can create an overall document that outlines what we need for that, where we're getting the chairs from, sponsorships, if you can start reaching out to interpreters. If you need help with that, I'm available. I'm happy to help with that. I know I sent you the one group. There's others I can talk to you about. If we can get a podium or some kind of microphone system, if we're doing it on the second floor of the cellar or Ivy City, if you can just start putting together a, July membership meeting document that we can all start using to work off of to get sponsorships, to get the logistics in order. I think that would be super helpful.
Definitely. Also, as far as events goes, I had put together a list of events, and I will share it with you guys when I share that other information with you. that residents that have kids been saying, are we gonna do something? They were expecting something on Mother's Day. I think that we should have a monthly event where we say this month featuring, children and parents or people that own dogs. They have said, when y'all gonna do an event? We used to do, I didn't have a dog then, but I went to the events and, helped them set up. But a lot of people are saying, can we have a meet and greet for the dogs? Also, I had a conversation, not outside of you guys, it was just a topic with Dom that if you guys, we need a cleanup event. Like, you need to let every resident know, like, hey, I'm cleaning the furniture. The furniture on the second floor is molded. They had the two people that came in the building that don't live here. People are really concerned. So they asking me, Yvette, we used to have social gatherings at the coffee bar. These are events. So they're coming to me directly. Should I include that in, hey, this month we're going to feature this? Because the parking thing right now, a lot of people are blocked out of their parking. They asked me, so I looked it up under the tenant associate, the
I'm
DC.
sorry. For the
DC.
for the parking, we will get there. That's definitely a whole conversation we need to have. But just because Taco Tuesday's coming up, I want to keep us a little bit more on topic. If we can, I know we have a number of events we want to talk about for kids and dogs, but if we could table that for a minute, bring that up, at the next officer meeting, we can put it up sooner. But if just in terms of the July officer meeting, I think we should keep our focus there at the moment, if that's all right.
So when you say officer meeting,
No,
you
I'm
just
sorry,
want
membership
a
meeting.
tenant meeting for
Yeah,
the
I'm
July
sorry,
tenant
I meant
meeting?
membership meeting.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, I agree with you. It would be fantastic to have an event with children. We should do that. It would be fantastic to have an event with dogs. I'd love to do that. But just because we're low on time today, I think we should table that until the next officer meeting. In terms of events, that we want to make sure are coming up quickly. The July membership. If we could just get a document for that, that would be great.
I'll
And-
send it, but I'll also include the ideas of events because some of those are small events. Like it could be a Wednesday night meet at the dog park. I'm just going over but the first agenda and the full topic would be for the next meeting for July. And I'll get that done this week, tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you. That's fantastic. And I'll go ahead and follow up with you. We'll get that put in the group chat, in the Google Drive, so we can all start working off that. Thank you so much. Definitely parking is one of those things that we need to start talking about because there's been some developments there. Before we do, I've received payments for the email addresses from most of the officers, Mike and Yvette. If y'all could get caught up on that as well, that would be awesome. And thank you to everybody who's gotten those sent over. If there's any questions about, how much to pay or where to send it or, which month specifically it's for, feel free to reach out to me and I can pass that all on to you. But unless anybody has any questions there, I think we can start talking about parking and then the tenant mediation if there's an update there, and then go ahead and wrap up. No questions, no comments?
Parking, just a couple of residents, not a couple, a lot that are behind on their rent. They have been blocked from the parking lot, which they can't get access. Then Don told them the alternative was that they don't own the parking lot, create a relationship with the parking people. And some of them have done that. And the response back from the parking owners saying that Dom sent, when he referred to Dom, like, is this resident living in your building? He's communicating to them. They're behind on their rent, which is a breach of privacy. Also, he said that's an alternative. They can pay directly, but he's blocking them from paying by telling them that they're behind, right? And we're not going to authorize parking for them. So it's kind of like in the landlord and tenant laws, you can't do that. Also, cars are still getting breaking into, the same old things. And then there's an issue with storage units because they don't.
I'm sorry. those were three different things. I want to make sure we respond to your first one first, though, because that was a serious topic. Before we get into storage, I want to make sure we get into parking. I know Howard looked into his lease and saw that even if you're going to remove parking for non-payment of rent, you have to give 30 days. I looked into my lease. It said that if they haven't paid the parking fee, it can be revoked immediately. But if they but it says nothing if they don't pay their base rent, their building rent. Yeah, and it says that if they're removing parking for anything other than non-payment of the parking rent, that they need to give you 30 days written notice. It sounds like they aren't doing that.
They are not. They're doing it as your parking is attached to your ledger. So they can't tell you that I'm gonna take your keys from your apartment, but they're using this as a strategy, retaliation. Like, but we can cut your fob off. Same
And that
thing.
should be, yes, I'm sorry. And that's actually wrong. They should not be doing that, because at least in my lease, I don't know, Charles, you correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I understand from my lease, so the rental payment and the payment for the parking is two separate ledgers, or should be. And so, which is why, like for instance, if there were some people who were, say, paying into, say, the DC courts or something, if they have an issue with their apartment, that should not affect them from parking in the parking lot. And
What
because
year is your lease? I'm sorry to interrupt.
2018.
Mine was
Okay.
my most recent renewal was 2023, and it had the same language.
So mine
Okay,
has
so yeah, so they should
similar
not be doing
language.
that.
Similar
ahead, I'm
language, but mine was 2015, right? And what happens is you pay your rent as attached to your ledger, right? So you can't do one without the other. You're still indebted to it, meaning if you owe a back due rent, you owe back due parking. And if you send in, just say you're having some issues and you can't afford the rent, and your parking is 150 or 200. If you go and make a payment towards your rent, 500 or whatever, you can illustrate like this is for parking, right? But
Correct.
what they're doing a retaliation, meaning I got a notice on my storage unit because they don't have identification of who owns what storage. They're sitting out this letter saying, as of this date, mine said June 30th, and I received the information on the 27th of June, that if they didn't address it to me because they don't have a system in place to know which storage belongs to people. So apparently they put them on all the doors as you enter your storage. It says by June 30th, if this isn't claimed and paid for, your stuff will be trash. Today, I got home from work and Dom didn't ask me. I left a note on there, Charles. You know, you saw it to say Hex Tenant Association, because a resident borrowed a table from me, and I allow a lot of residents to use my stuff. That's just as a courtesy. And a resident left it downstairs behind the security desk, just a flat table against the wall. Two of them. Victor took one up to Angie's, and I provided the cloth, and another Stella needed to use this one. I put it in the back downstairs. Today, when I walked in unprofessionally, I understand things can't be stored. Stella didn't communicate with me, like I put it back or whatever the situation was. But to walk home and come into my building, and Miss Easy called me on the phone, and she said, Yvette, is this yours? And Charles called me, and I said, yes, it is, right? Secondly, when that took place, I walked through the door and I was sitting at the front desk, and he said, a third party, Miss Easy, Dom said to Miss Easy, does she know that her table is here is going to get thrown away? And I said, excuse me, my name is Miss Yvette, as you used several times. You don't have the authority to throw anything away. It has information on it. You should have emailed me or contacted me, but don't threaten to throw. So he threw everything that was back there and said, I said, Dom, that's not the right way to present to a resident, especially when they're walking in the door.
I'm sorry.
But he tossed everything away that was back there. I just grabbed my table, but he tossed car seats and, you know, all kinds of things that people may have just had somebody drop it off for whatever purpose. So that's not the proper way. You have to give 30 days notice to move any furniture or personal belongings from any said area.
Yes, I agree that we definitely want to talk about the storage unit issue and how they are handling people's stuff. I'm glad that the table wasn't thrown away. I'm glad that we caught that before they did. You know, we definitely want to get into that, but I want to hone in for a second on parking because I have had a number of residents come up to me who are very, very, very upset about this issue and saying, you know, like I don't think this is legal. Like this is what my lease says. One has already told me that they want to reach out to a lawyer and get clarification on that. You know, we should have a conversation about storage, but I want to make sure we're honing in on parking for a moment. And also the lack of response that we've gotten from the regional manager about this parking issue, about the communication, and just figure out what we're doing there. It sounds like my lease from 2023, Yvette's lease from 2015, and Howard's lease from 2018 all say the same thing about we should be giving 30 days notice. It sounds like, for again, I'm not a lawyer, but it sounds like from DC law, that is the same thing there as well. But despite that, we aren't hearing back from the regional manager. So I want to set aside storage for 1 minute and just figure out on parking specifically what we want to do about that.
So what I understand from the end, you guys could correct me if you guys have a different understanding from this, but from what I understand from my lease, it says that the parking is a commercial. That's a commercial lease. It's separate from your rent. So while they absolutely link it in together and make your increase your rent by the amount of parking, from what I understand, it's two separate different leases. It's two separate different contracts. Therefore, they should be able to separate that. So like Yvette said, when she's paying her rent or when somebody's paying their rent, they should be able to say, okay, well, this $150 is going toward parking. Because the way that the lease is written, it's two separate agreements. You have a commercial agreement with the lease, with the parking lot, which is how they say it. And then of course you have your residential lease with the property management. And so if someone is not paying their rent, but they choose to continue to pay their parking, that should absolutely be acceptable.
Any portion.
Well, I'm sorry, Yvette, you're cutting out. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Any portion, like if a resident is saying, I paid $500 towards my rent, we have to inform the residents legally. They can say $150 is for this and the rest is this amount towards rent. So legally, they have to accept that until the court decides that that person who is behind and they have an official eviction date, they have to accept what you give.
Yes, that is my understanding. Correct. I think you're correct. I think that's my understanding as well.
So yeah.
And if I cut off on you, I'm running to mom's. I got to get the bananas and stuff. I'm getting on the elevator. It shouldn't cut off, but I'm running behind schedule.
All right. Thank you for letting us know. So it seems like we're all pretty much in agreement here that these are separate contracts and you should be able to pay one without paying the other. And if they're going to revoke parking, they should be giving us 30 days notice. And you know, several residents have reported that they're not doing that. This does seem to be a legal issue. You know, the question here is, we said we were going to give
Hello?
I'm
Yes.
sorry.
I'm sorry. It cut off for a second when I was on the elevator, but I can still hear you. I just wanted to I thought it was off. Hi, how you doing? Yeah. I think that we're in agreement in that particular subject because it's really pertinent. And also people that can't get to their vehicle, they can't get to work. So in turn, they're Ubering and catching, transportation.
Right.
And if
I'm sorry, are they stuck? I'm sorry, are they stuck on the top
well,
levels?
they're far, like some people, they had security let them out. But if
You're let out, you can't get let back in.
But they not doing that. They already, Dom personally pointed out, hi, how y'all? Hey, moms.
Oh my God.
I'll see y'all shortly.
So the question really at hand though here is, we had said that we would give the regional manager until Friday to get back to us. You know, that Friday was last Friday, it came and went, and we had said that, if we did not hear from them, we would use this Tuesday meeting, to talk about next steps. You know, I think now that we have this legal question here, and we still haven't heard back from him about, you know, policies or the parking issue that we reached out about. The question is, we all generally agree that, you know, we have a concerning legal question here. The residents are upset about it, and have the same legal concerns, and he still has not gotten back to us. Where do we want to escalate this to? Do we want to reach out to Douglas? Do we want to reach out to the legal team with this
Yes.
legal question? Do we want to reach out to, say, an organization like Housing Counseling Services that has lawyers on staff for residents and say, you know, they help in a limited capacity with tenant unions, but they do help with residents. And this is something that I think they might be willing to work with us on because it affects residents individually. You know, which of those escalation paths do we want to take?
I would say all of the above, meaning it's power in numbers, and we will discover that this person say, well, I handle this part about it, meaning the legal aspect. Maybe the owner, I'm talking about Douglas, is not really aware because he's appointed family members, you know, to take over the management aspect, which is Alex is one of them. So just say hypothetically, he's not aware of the structure or the system in which the residents are being. So I think that when we acknowledge everyone, that they will address, like, oh, I wasn't aware it was happening like this. You know, I would say all the above.
Yes, I think I also think that we should I think that we should definitely keep our management in the loop, but I think we should reach out to this guy, the VP over at the next step above him, and then also reach out to Douglas, the ownership, but let them know that we're all talking to, you know, legal representatives, I guess, regarding this issue, and that we would like them to respond back to us. But yeah, I think that we definitely need to escalate this. And I think that I think our next step is to, you know, email both the Douglas, the owners, and this Christopher's boss, which is like, he's the senior vice president over at the management company, because, you know, of course, this guy is clearly not responding back to us. But I think what they're hoping is that we'll just go away, and we're just this little tenant union, and that they don't, you know, that we're not worth their response. And so I think that we need to, you know, show them otherwise.
Exactly.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying we should reach out to Douglas, in addition to reaching out to Christopher's boss at Greystar, and reach out to Housing Counseling Services to get their professional opinion on the matter.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. So it seems like we're escalating in a, you know, trident three paths.
Yes, but I think that when we reach out to Christopher's boss, like, make sure that they're on the CC list, because we want them to know that, listen, we've tried to work with you guys, and I also want to make sure that his boss sees that we reached out to him several times and received no response. You know what I mean? Like, I want to make sure that we have our, you know, our T's crossed and our I's dotted.
Yeah, so we're going to reach out to the next level at Greystar and say, you know, we've been trying to reach out several times. Here are the times when we tried to reach out. We've gotten no response. You know, can you please respond? Or can you please, you know, get us a response there? And then when we're reaching out to Douglas, are we reaching out about the lack of communication, the parking issue, or both?
I think both. I think it's all the same. You know, it's all literally comes from the same, you know, the same issue.
Awesome. And then I'll go ahead and reach back out to the person that I had been working with at Housing Counseling Services. I believe, don't quote me, but I believe they have lawyers on staff that can advise from the legal aspect, or at the very least, they can advise on, on the matter overall.
Gotcha.
So Howard, I mean, I'm sorry, Howard and
Yes.
Charlie, to address both issues as far as it should start off saying we are reaching out to you because of the lack of response we get. So
Of course. Yeah.
that's how we should.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay. Does anybody else have any comments, concerns on what we're doing here that they want to put
Yes.
in? It seems like we're got our
I just
email.
want to share, sorry, I want to share one thing because I didn't get the opportunity to go over it with you guys. Being an event coordinator, I help sponsor a lot of young college students with their entrepreneurial program. And one of my, a young person I know in college, she reached out to me last week. I really didn't keep in touch with the date that we were having I didn't know that we were doing a tenant thing. And she works for a company called Cutco that she has to go out and say that she scouted or, talk to people about her product. And I said, oh, Tuesday, I'm available around 7:30 prior to me knowing that we were hosting. So since she lived so far, I said, you can come on out and I'll be setting up for an event we're having, but you can share your knives. She's, it's for professional chef knives. And I said, we have a lot of people that cook. She may be gone well before the residents come, but I didn't want y'all to know, like, I'm just sharing that she'll be there around 7:30 and she'll be giving me her presentation while I set up. And if anybody wants to chime in while they're setting up, I just wanted to say that I invited her to come.
So me and Yvette talked about this a little bit on the phone earlier. And I wanted to get y'all's input on this and see if y'all are having the same thinking as me. What I was communicating was, I think from 7:30 to 8:30, we're setting up the Taco Tuesday and bringing everything down and getting it ready. And if we wanted to be, watching this presentation at the same time, I would certainly be interested in that, and I'm fine with that. I just think, once 8:30 comes and Taco Tuesday officially starts and the residents start coming down, I wouldn't want this event to feel like we're trying to sell something or a sales pitch, or, I know a couple residents said they feel like when they come in, with Starry and the dog thing that was there recently and all of the different sales in the lobby, they can feel a little bit sold to in the building. And I wouldn't want them to feel that what is supposed to be a fun event. So I would say maybe like, we listen to it from 7:30 to 8:30, but then at 8:30, we kind of cut
Yeah,
it.
she's gonna be, it's just we in agreement. I'm just saying that I didn't want you guys to say, well, who is this? She'll be there around 7:30 giving me her presentation while I'm setting up. And I said some of our members who like to cook, they have steak knives, all kinds of knives, they may be interested. That's it. I didn't make a commitment that she can, do it at our event. It was prior to me
Awesome.
knowing that I had to cook. So I'm trying to hear her while I'm bringing this stuff downstairs,
Yeah,
Um,
that sounds great. That sounds perfectly fine to me. Does it sound fine to everybody else?
Sure.
Awesome.
So I just want to make sure that we're clear for the parking issue. I know we probably don't have time to discuss the.
I'm sorry, Howard, we can't hear you at the moment. Your microphone is crackling, it seems.
Gotcha. Can you hear me now?
Yep, there we go. It fixed.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, that's okay. I just want to make sure that we get through the parking issue. So so I'm just taking notes. So the next thing that we're going to do, like Lex said, we're going to reach out to the both the guy's boss and the Hex ownership and just say, listen, the reason why we're reaching out to you all. Yvette, could you mute your phone, please?
okay, sorry.
And just so so when we reach out to them, let them know that the reason why we're reaching out to them is because we've been unable to have any communication with them. But also, we're not only reaching out to them because of lack of communication, but we're also looking for policy and guidance regarding what the procedures are for communicating with the residents in this building. That's something important that we need. So it's not just about the parking garage or the lack of communication, but it's really regarding the kind of the kind of top level communication policy between the management company and the residents?
Yeah, it's threefold. It's the lack of communication when we're reaching out. It is our concern at this apparent, breach of the leasing contract or the law. And then it is a request for where we can find policies. Three
Yes.
parts.
Very cool. Very cool. Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Any other specifically about parking or this escalation? Any other comments there before we move on?
Um,
No.
I'm good.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. In that case, just briefly before we wrap up here, I just wanted to ask, I know Howard, Lex, y'all were working together a little bit on the mediation committee, and that you were gonna come up with like a draft charter that we could take a look at, see, and figure out exactly how we would go about that if we wanted to go about it. I wanted to ask, has that charter been completed? Is it in the works?
It's definitely, I can speak on that. It's definitely in the works. I did send some communication out. We've been in communication, Lex and I. We have something on a shared drive that we're working on. It's kind of a working document now, but he and I probably should sit down and kind of get together, decide on kind of how we want to, because we took what was already in the in our bylaws in terms of creating a committee. We just need to come up with the mission of it and kind of like, the amount of members and things like that it takes to sit on this mediation thing, and then we'll present that to the officers hopefully by our next meeting. Would you say that, Lex?
He said that he will discuss that with you sometime today at the Taco Tuesday.
Okay, sounds good. And then I just want to just give an update. Last time we talked, I meant to include this in my little section. Last time we talked about working with a nonprofit regarding doing some fundraising activity so I reached back out to them, and you guys were correct. It is a Ward 6 organization. They do work throughout all of the DMV. I'm sorry, all of the 8 wards in DC. But I told them, I said, we are primarily in Ward 5 resident organization, and so I wouldn't feel comfortable with taking this to my entire team if what we're doing is not benefiting, essentially the residents of Ward 5. And they completely understood. And they said, well, if we have anything that we know we're coming up that specifically benefiting the residents of Ward 5, we would absolutely reach back out to you all. And we'd love to work with you guys in some capacity or another. So that's
Awesome.
just that update.
Well, I think that's a good iron to have in the fire. And, if they're ever, in the neighborhood, metaphorically speaking, that would be a great opportunity to have. And I think it's good to just have that kind of contact point. You never know when they'll expand. You never know when an opportunity will show up. So, we'll keep an eye on it. I think that we should always be looking for opportunities in that area to kind of be a part of and benefit the wider community, and where those organizations can benefit our residents.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. And on the charter specifically, having an update, having something to present by the next officer meeting sounds great. That's the one right before the tenant union meeting, so I think it'll be a pretty busy meeting, but I think we can squeeze it in there. One thing that I really want to make sure, you said, you'll include the minimum number of officers, all of the stuff that's required for bylaws. That's great. And Kari can definitely help guide, what's required to be in the charter. But specifically, just when I'm looking at reviewing it and thinking, okay, is this something that we should be doing or not? I'll be really interested to see what procedures you've put in there for how exactly they will mediate, how they will make, like the process that they will follow, procedures that are in place. All the required stuff is good too, but I'm definitely interested in, how we're like, what the overall plan is as well, what we're going about it with.
Yeah, gotcha.
Awesome. Looking forward to seeing that at the next meeting. Other than that, unless anybody wants to, we have about 6 minutes here. If anybody wants to throw something in at the end, if not, I think we're good to wrap up.
Can we just go over this? We're all bringing for the. I know this is exhausting, but I know that we went on the we had it in our chat. Just to kind of run down what everybody's bringing. I know that I and bring, because I thought that 3 people said they were bringing berries, and I was like, okay, I think that's berry overload.
Well, look, so 3 people might say that they're bringing berries, but you know, berries are expensive. I'm only bringing some amount of berries, and I think they'll go quickly. I don't think we could have too many berries.
Okay.
But you know, I bought a container of strawberries and a container of blueberries. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was like $13 for just that. So if somebody wants to supplement some additional berries, that would be great. But I think we'll have plenty of toppings, from the several kinds of whipped cream that we have, to several people bringing berries, to vegan chicken and non-vegan chicken, you know, to the syrup. I think you know, we'll be good on toppings.
Okay. Because I haven't went shopping, and I was like, I have to go get berries, but then I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, I have syrup and I have the chicken, so I know that I needed to run over and go shopping. That's all.
You know, if you could pick up some berries, I'm sure they'll get eaten. I'm sure they'd be appreciated. You know, but if not, I don't think it's the end of the world. I have been struggling to find vegan whipped cream, but I'm hoping after this meeting, during that, you know, hour of setup, I can run out and go hunt that down.
And
But
we have enough waffle batter, right? Miss Yvette has waffle batter.
Miss Yvette,
Still here?
no, I think she was in mom shopping. But I know Lex is making the chicken. Howard's got some of the toppings. I've got some of the other toppings. Mike was going to bring the alcohol for the mimosas and some juice. I was bringing orange juice. He's going to bring a secondary juice and the alcohol for the mimosas. Mike, were you able to get the alcohol?
Yeah, I have a bottle of champagne.
Awesome. So we can go ahead, and during that prep hour, we can make some mimosas and set those out for people. And did you get
Do we have cups and everything? I'm sorry. Do we have cups and like
Yep.
flat with plasticware?
Yeah, Curry sent me the money, so while I was at Target, I picked those up. So thank you to Curry for that. But we have napkins, plates, and cups, and spoons, forks, utensils, etc. I know that Yvette was going to bring the mini plates that were left over from the 4th of July, and some cups as well, I believe. So we should be pretty well covered there. Oh, one thing that I do want to note, briefly, I was speaking to Dom today, and he said that he has been receiving complaints on Tuesday because apparently people are staying there until, you know, 4 a.m., 2 a.m., whatever it is, making noise on the patio and on the floor, and they're making complaints. He has said that today we're fine. He's going to leave it alone, but on Friday he's going to send out an email blast to all residents reminding us that that those spaces close at 10 p.m. and excuse me, Taco Tuesday will have to be over by 10 p.m.
For the outside, okay.
No, I'm sorry. I said, do you mean for the patio, you know, we need to come inside by 10 p.m. And he said, no, all community spaces close at 10 p.m.
What?
That doesn't sound right.
So if there's a sign on the door in the cellar that lists the hours for the cellar, I
Right.
believe that says 10 p.m. His statement was that policy says like all community places, all events have to end at 10 p.m.
Right.
You know,
So this is we ran into this issue before. So I understand that the seller may need to close at 10 because that I guess that's considered. But so this is a difference because I think like the lobby would not be considered a amenity space. And neither is, so I believe that the second floor, like the actual kitchen, is considered an amenity space, not that second floor level. That's not a community space. That's considered. I'm sorry, that's not amenity space. It's a community space, and they can't dictate that. The residents can, if they choose to gather, they have every right to do that. This is not an amenity space. So maybe if he's talking about the particular kitchen, possibly, but he cannot, if they want to hang out in that seating area, he cannot stop that.
Look, I agree with you. I just wanted to flag it, so
Sure.
that we're aware that, he told that to me today and that'll be coming out soon. We're out of time today.
Yeah.
I think we should keep that on the agenda for the next officer meeting, or the special officer meeting. And make sure that we're staying on top of that. If it's a matter of we need to come inside at a certain time, or we need to remind people to keep it down, because, we don't want complaints.
Right.
We don't want to be upsetting our neighbors, but,
No, I'm sorry. I'm only speaking about the patio is a amenity space, I think. So that's something different. I'm talking about if we're inside on the second floor and not in that, not in an amenity space, if you said that's my only, but I agree. We don't want residents complaining. We don't want people out there loud but I absolutely agree with him on that.
yeah. So just to have that on y'all's radars, we can figure out exactly what we're doing about it, at the next meeting. But in terms of, we can just try and keep people, keep the noise down, keep people inside after a certain time. But definitely we want to make sure that, if they're changing the times of Taco Tuesday, that we're having a conversation about what our response there is.
Gotcha. All right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We are definitely out of time. I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to go prepare for Taco Tuesday. I'm looking forward to seeing y'all. I think this is going to be a great event. Thank you all for all of the effort that has gone into it. I will see you all soon. Thank you for coming.
See you guys this
One other
evening.
thing, Charles. One other thing, do you think that maybe as officers, should we be serving the waffle, or do you want individual make their own waffle?
No, I figured it was like a make your own waffle section. We'll put out all the stuff. And then as long as people are being respectful and not like, doing anything that would break the machines, I think I trust them to like go along and make their own waffle. But, if it gets out of hand, we can adjust.
Just because, I know we got to go, but just to back off what April said, I've hosted before, and I would say this: people are so inconsiderate, and so I just want to make sure that we make sure that all residents get something to eat, because people are coming down. They've come down, they make plates, take them upstairs. This really is supposed to be a social event for us, introducing ourselves to our to our community, our neighbors, and so. We just want them to be very mindful, don't get a second plate until everybody has something to eat. Don't take plates upstairs. I hate to be like that, but you know what I mean? Everybody has to eat. And I've just been, by me hosting this and being down there often, I see people doing that quite a bit.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
no. How do you tell people no plate making? Because some people didn't even bring anything, and I see them take 2 plates home, and
All
I'm
the
like,
time. Yeah.
Well, so why don't we keep an eye on it tonight? And if necessary, we can go ahead and step in and say, you pick your batter and you pick which waffle design you want, and we can go ahead and we'll make it for you. If necessary. Why don't we just like keep an eye on it and, talk as hosts as it goes on?
Sounds good.
all right,
You
so
might go ahead and announce that in the beginning when event begins. Go ahead and make that announcement, and then when you start to see new people trickle in, go ahead and reiterate that.
Oh, great point.
Sure.
And I can also post something as well. I am going to make the little sign up, board, the whole scam board, so that they can. So maybe I can put something on that as well.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I'll be making the standard Taco Tuesday announcement of thanks to the people who contributed, and don't forget to fill out the form if you haven't yet that Howard brought. And by the way, here's the date for our next meeting. So during that, I would be happy to remind people, make sure to leave the space clean, make sure to not take too much until everybody's had some, etc.
Very cool.
Awesome. All right. Well,
right.
I'm gonna get off the phone. I'm sure so do y'all, but thank you for coming. I'm looking forward to the upcoming meetings. I'm looking forward to this event.